In House of David, Episode 8, everything changes. He tried to kill Goliath in his sleep, but it all went horribly wrong. The betrayal was swift, the ambush was brutal, and the price of failure? Devastation. Blood is spilled, loyalties are shattered, and out of the chaos, one name rises: David. This is the episode that will leave you breathless. It all begins in the dead of night, when Prince Jonathan leads a small group of elite warriors on a mission that could end the war before it begins. Their goal? To kill Goliath in his sleep. Jonathan moves like a shadow through the enemy camp, his men silent, focused, ready. One by one, they take down enemy guards with ruthless precision. The tension is unbearable. Every step brings them closer to ending the giant's reign of terror. But just as they reach Goliath's tent, everything falls apart. One of Jonathan's own men suddenly turns on him. Sword-drawn voice shaking, he confesses, "Forgive me, Prince Jonathan. Achish offered me a higher price, and I always side with the highest bidder." That moment of betrayal seals their fate. In a flash, Achish appears like a phantom in the dark. He lights the sky with a flaming arrow, the signal. In seconds, Saul's army is ambushed. Arrows rain down like fire from the heavens. Achish's archers show no mercy. Soldiers scream. Horses fall. The trap is vicious and calculated. Jonathan's men are slaughtered. There is no escape. But Jonathan, even surrounded, doesn't surrender. He fights like a man possessed, slashing through Achish's forces with fearless determination. He takes down a dozen enemies, his blade never slowing, his eyes burning with rage. Achish watches in awe. Even he seems stunned. But the numbers are too great. Eventually, Jonathan is captured, bound, and brought to his knees. And that's when Achish shows his true cruelty. "You will bow before me," Achish sneers, beginning a slow, merciless torture. He wants to break Jonathan, to humiliate him, to send a message, but Jonathan refuses to scream. Refuses to beg. His silence is his resistance, and his defiance only enrages Achish further. Back at Saul's camp, the situation is dire. The army is starving, cut off from supplies. The men grow weaker by the hour. Tensions rise, discipline shatters, and when food finally arrives, they fight over it like animals. Morale is gone, hope is slipping away, and then Goliath appears, towering above the battlefield. Goliath mocks the broken army. His voice thunders. "Are you all so cowardly? Is there not one brave warrior among you? You couldn't face me openly, so you tried to kill me in my sleep, and failed. If you keep hiding, I'll slaughter every last one of you." Then with terrifying force, he hurls a spear directly into the enemy ranks. The ground shakes. The soldiers scatter. The message is clear. No one is safe. Meanwhile, Jonathan remains Achish's prisoner, beaten, bloodied, but still unbroken. Achish offers him one final deal: surrender and live as a slave, or resist and die. Jonathan, with fire in his eyes, answers with only one sentence: "We'd rather die fighting than live as your slaves." The words echo like thunder. And for the first time, Achish hesitates. He sees something unbreakable in Jonathan, something he can't crush. And in a shocking turn, instead of killing him, Achish cuts his bonds and lets him go. As chaos spreads and enemies tighten their grip, hope arrives in the most unexpected form. Two princesses, Michal and her sister, finally reach the camp after days of dangerous travel. Michal rushes to her father, grabs Saul's hands and pleads, "You can't give up. The entire army is counting on you." And somehow those simple words ignite something in Saul, a forgotten fire, a flicker of the leader he once was. And far from all this, a boy walks toward destiny. David. Haunted by a dream of his mother telling him, "Never be afraid." The wind carries her voice, the battlefield awaits, and the moment of reckoning is near. The battlefield is cracked with fear. Goliath's taunts hang heavy in the air, his shadow looming over the hearts of every soldier. No one dares move. No one even breathes too loudly. But then David arrives. Dust clings to his cloak. His eyes scan the chaos, and what he sees ignites a fire in him. His people, paralyzed. His king, silent. His brothers, ashamed. And at the center of it all, a giant who mocks the living God. David doesn't hesitate. He marches straight into camp, shouting with righteous fury, "Are you all so spineless that you won't even face him?" His voice cuts through the silence like lightning. The soldiers look up stunned. His half-brothers, embarrassed and furious, try to shut him up. They hurl insults accusing him of pride, of meddling in matters far beyond him. But David doesn't flinch. "I was sent here by Father," he says, calm and defiant. "If you won't fight, I will." He doesn't wait for permission. He walks straight to King Saul. The tent is heavy with hopelessness. Saul, worn and hollow-eyed, looks up in disbelief as this shepherd boy stands before him and declares, "I'll fight the giant." Saul almost laughs until David speaks of the lion. "When it came to take my sheep, I fought it. I killed it. God was with me then. He'll be with me now." Saul's expression changes. Slowly, something shifts. This boy doesn't talk like a boy. He talks like a warrior. He talks like a man who believes. Saul finally nods. "Go, David. Strike him down." He offers his armor, heavy, gleaming, kingly. But David removes it. "This doesn't fit me," he says. "I'll go as I am." The camp watches in silence as David walks alone to the river. He kneels, picks up 5 smooth stones, one for each of Goliath's threats, one for each fear he refuses to carry. Before he returns to the battlefield, Michal finds him. She clutches his arm, tears in her eyes. "You must return to me," she whispers. "This isn't just about the fight. This is about faith, about destiny, about love that is just beginning to bloom in the middle of war." And now the crowd gathers. Achish watches from a distance, smug and confident. Jonathan, now free, climbs a nearby ridge, blood still fresh on his skin. His eyes lock on David. He remembers Samuel's words, the prophecy, the chosen one. And slowly, painfully, Jonathan begins to understand. This is the one. This is the man who will wear the crown. Goliath steps forward, towering over David. He laughs, loud, cruel, arrogant. "A boy? You send me a boy?" he bellows. "I'll crush you in one strike." But David doesn't blink, doesn't step back. Instead, he lifts his voice for all to hear. "Today, I'll kill you and prove God is with us." His courage is deafening. Both armies hold their breath. No one speaks. No one dares look away. Because deep down, they know something is about to happen. Something impossible. The ground trembles, not with footsteps, but with fate itself. This is not just a battle. This is the moment history bends. And David is ready. The wind stops. The birds go quiet. Even the jeering from Achish's soldiers fades into nothing. It's just David and Goliath now. One boy, one giant, 2 armies watching, waiting, holding their breath. Goliath, armored from head to toe, stomps forward with a thunderous laugh that echoes across the valley. His shield-bearer walks beside him, but Goliath waves him off, insulted. "I'll handle this child myself," he snarls. Raising his spear like a tree trunk carved from rage, Goliath charges. David stands his ground, eyes locked, feet firm, sling in hand. No sword, no armor, just courage and God. The first spear flies, so fast it whistles through the air. David dodges. Dust explodes behind him. A second spear comes even closer. David rolls, barely missing death. The crowd gasps. Some close their eyes, some believe it's over already. And then, the third strike. Goliath's final spear rips through the air and slams into David's shoulder. He crashes to the ground. Silence spreads like a wave. The Israelites freeze. Saul's heart stops. Michal screams. And Achish smiles. It looks like the end. The boy lies still. Goliath raises his arms in victory, but David isn't finished. Slowly, painfully, he rises. Blood stains his robe. His breathing is sharp and shallow. But his eyes, they burn brighter than ever. He reaches for the sling, places one stone inside, spins it once, twice, then lets it fly. The stone sings through the sky like it was always meant to find its mark. It hits Goliath right between the eyes. Time freezes. The giant blinks, staggers, falls. The ground shakes as his body slams down, face first, dead. No one moves, no one speaks, until David walks, calmly, deliberately, to the lifeless body, pulls out Goliath's own sword, and lifts it high above his head. With one swift motion, he severs the giant's head and holds it up for the world to see. That's when it happens. The roar, the scream, the explosion of fury and hope. Saul's army surges forward, reinvigorated by the impossible. The Israelites charge. Achish's soldiers scatter in panic. On the other side of the valley, Jonathan watches with awe. He doesn't cheer. He doesn't run. He just stares at David, the shepherd boy who killed a legend. And in that moment, something in Jonathan's heart changes. He no longer sees David as a rival. He sees him as something else, something greater, a chosen king. Back in the camp, Michal collapses in tears. Relief, joy, love. Her heart has already chosen David long before the crown ever will. And as Saul rises to his feet, watching David stand above Goliath's body, he feels it too. The shift in power, the change in destiny. For better or worse, David's name will never be forgotten. After today, this wasn't just a victory. It was a beginning. The battlefield is soaked in blood and silence, broken only by the sound of running feet, clashing swords, and the distant thunder of Achish's retreat. Saul's army, now lit with fire and fury, hunts down the Philistines, who once hunted them. The tide has turned, but deep inside Saul's camp, something more powerful is happening. Soldiers who once feared for their lives are now chanting a single name. Not Saul's, not Jonathan's, but David, the shepherd boy, the one they mocked, the one who stood where no warrior dared. His name rises through the camp like smoke from a sacrifice, a name that now carries the weight of destiny. Jonathan watches from a ridge, stunned, not just by David's victory, but by what it means. The prophecy Samuel once whispered about a new king chosen by God suddenly feels real. It's not just words anymore. It's standing right in front of him, holding a giant sword. When David returns to camp, covered in dust and blood, the soldiers fall silent. He doesn't boast. He doesn't raise his voice. He simply drops Goliath's severed head at Saul's feet and waits. Saul stares at him, half in awe, half in fear. For the first time in his reign, Saul sees the end of his own power and the beginning of someone else's. But Michal sees something different. Her heart races when David looks at her. In the chaos of war and death, she finds only one truth. She loves him. She runs to him, wraps her arms around him, whispering, "You came back to me." David, still shaking from battle, clings to her like she's the only thing keeping him grounded. This moment, small and quiet amid the roar of victory, will echo through their lives. Because while kings see threats and warriors see symbols, Michal sees the man behind it all. As night falls, Saul summons David to his tent. The king tries to hide his trembling hands as he offers David riches, praise, even promises. But underneath every word is a silent question. "Are you coming for my crown?" David, humble as ever, bows low and says, "I am your servant." But Saul sees it. In his eyes, in his posture, in the way the men outside cheer for him. David may say he's a servant, but the kingdom already sees a king. Later, by the riverbank, David finds Jonathan waiting. There's no anger, no jealousy, only respect. The two men speak little. Words aren't needed. Jonathan simply says, "You were chosen." And then, in an act that changes everything, he removes his royal robe, his sword, his belt, and gives them to David. A symbol of loyalty, of surrender, of brotherhood. In that moment, Jonathan makes peace with the future, knowing full well that David, not he, will rule Israel one day. And back in the shadows, watching all of this unfold, is Achish. Defeated, humiliated, but not broken. He whispers to his remaining generals, "We'll strike again, not today, but soon. This isn't over." Because even though the giant has fallen, the war for Israel's soul has only just begun. David's victory over Goliath reverberates through the kingdom. But it's not just the roar of the Israelites that fills the air. It's the growing tension that fills Saul's heart. The cheers for David are deafening, and the more the people celebrate, the more Saul feels his grip on the throne slipping away. David, the boy who once tended sheep, is now a hero, a champion. And though David swears his loyalty to Saul, the king cannot shake the feeling that he is no longer the center of his own kingdom. With every victory David claims, with every song sung about his bravery, Saul's fear deepens. He begins to see the shadow of a new king looming over him. In private moments, Saul can't help but wonder, is David the man God has chosen to replace me? The tension between Saul and David grows, and it's not long before Saul's jealousy overtakes his reason. The more he watches David, the more his mind twists, and a dark seed of suspicion takes root in his heart. Despite David's unwavering loyalty, Saul can no longer see him as anything but a threat to his crown. His paranoia drives him to darker decisions. At first, it's subtle. Whispers to his commanders, harsh words thrown in David's direction, attempts to keep him close yet controlled. But the cracks in Saul's mind begin to show. When David returns victorious from yet another battle, Saul's anger boils over. He orders David to be summoned to the palace, under the pretense of a reward, but his mind is already made up. Saul's jealousy has reached its peak, and the hatred simmering beneath the surface begins to take its toll. David, ever the humble warrior, doesn't see the storm coming. He has no desire for power. All he wants is to serve his king. But Saul's mind is unraveling, and the once strong bond between them begins to fracture. Jonathan, Saul's son, sees this shift with horror. He knows his father too well, understands the king's pride, and feels the icy grip of fear slowly twisting Saul's heart. And Jonathan, as loyal as he is to his father, cannot deny the truth that now stares him in the face. David is the chosen one. Jonathan feels it deep in his soul. He knows that the kingdom will not remain in Saul's hands forever. He understands his father's decline and the rise of the young shepherd before him. But even in the face of this inevitable future, Jonathan does not turn on David. He does not betray his friend. Instead, he chooses the path of loyalty, of love, and of a bond stronger than the crown Saul wears. Jonathan goes to David, pledging his allegiance, offering his own armor, his own sword, symbolizing his acceptance of David as the future king. The loyalty between the two men, forged in the fires of battle and sacrifice, becomes unbreakable. But Saul, blind with fear and pride, doesn't see the gift of friendship and loyalty. All he sees is a threat. And it's not long before he begins to take extreme measures, throwing David into dangerous situations, testing his loyalty, even trying to kill him. The king's obsession with maintaining his throne grows into something much darker, and David finds himself constantly on the run, hunted by the very man he once served. But David is no ordinary man. His faith in God keeps him strong, keeps him moving forward, even when the walls close in around him. And though David runs, though he is pursued, there is no escape from the destiny that awaits him. The battle for the throne is far from over, and the price for it will be high. Saul's kingdom is crumbling, and the power of David's rise is unstoppable. The Israelites, now looking to David as their hero, will soon turn to him as their king. It's only a matter of time before Saul's reign ends and David's begins. The final pieces are falling into place. The journey to the throne may be fraught with danger and betrayal, but David knows one thing: God's will is unstoppable. His time is coming, and there is no force that can stop it. As the episode ends, the air is thick with tension. The storm that is brewing will not just shake the throne, it will change the course of history. And the question remains: when David finally takes his place as king, will he rule with the same heart he showed on the battlefield, or will the weight of the crown change him forever? Only time will tell. This is only the beginning of David's journey. The battle for the throne may be far from over, but one thing is certain: David has already won the hearts of Israel, and his rise to power is inevitable.